Has something you loved ever been called childish? Or have you ever been called a child because of something you love that is usually loved by kids? Good evening, everybody. My name is Daniella Mendoza, and I love Disney. I love it. I love Disney so much that I've been to Disneyland these past few months more than in my whole lifetime. And often when I tell people this, they assume that the only reason I love Disney is because I never grew up or that I am a child. But for me, Disney is more than just this money-making machine that is only loved by kids. For me, Disney is home. I have a connection to it. This might come as a shock to you, but I didn't know English growing up. And no, I'm not from a different country. I was born in California and I was raised here. But I grew up in a very Hispanic home. And my mom, the adorable human being that she is, made it clear that we were not going to forget two things, our faith and our roots. And part of that was not forgetting Spanish. And so she would go around the house saying, "En la casa solamente se habla español." So in the house, we only talk in Spanish. And so we did. My brothers and I would play together, we'd talk in Spanish. The TV was on, it was in Spanish. We'd go to our neighbor's house, and it was in Spanish. And so I grew up speaking Spanish. And when it was time for me to go to school, my kindergarten teachers didn't see a problem with giving me instructions in Spanish. So I knew how to count, I could tell you what happened in a story, and I could write, but only in Spanish. And it was fine, until we moved to a different part of town where I was forced into a classroom not knowing the language. My teachers were no longer allowed to give me instructions in Spanish. So I was often put on the spot to read out loud in class, hoping that I would pick up the language faster, but I didn't. It was torture. I was often bullied and mimicked for my bad pronunciation. I would have a group of boys follow me around and mimic everything I said, thinking it was funny. I didn't have any friends because I didn't know how to talk. It was hell. But then, and it got to the point that it was so bad that my principal sat down with my parents and said, "Hey, maybe it's best if she learns English outside the classroom." And so I did. I had teachers and tutors come and attempt to teach me this language that I did not want to learn. They would drill me on stupid grammar rules like nouns and pronouns, try to make me memorize stupid spelling rules like I before E except in weird situations. This constant drilling and drilling and drilling was affecting how I was speaking Spanish. So there came a point where I wasn't good at English and I wasn't good at Spanish. I often felt alone and dumb, and I was so frustrated that my mom, the same woman that said that I wasn't going to speak in any other language but Spanish, would go to thrift stores and yard sales and buy me the Disney VHS films and put them on for me. And she would have me repeat every single word that was going on and sing along. And we did, very off key, but I did it. And so through that constant memorizing, I was able to finally talk in English fluently. And if you want me to recite The Lion King for you, I can, bring it on. But it wasn't through all that constant drilling that I was able to learn English. It was through watching these Disney films that I felt connected to it. And when it was time for me to go back to school, the principal sat down with me and said, "Hey, what did you learn?" And so I decided I was going to tell her the story of The Lion King. And she was so impressed by how much I learned that she allowed me to make sure that all my assignments had something to do with Disney. So let's fast forward. Where are we now? I'm a 21-year-old girl who plans way too many trips to Disneyland and watches Tarzan and repeat. And I don't do it because I feel like a child. I do it because every time I go to Disneyland, every time I watch that film, I get this nostalgic feeling that I was able to learn English through these films. And if there's something I can leave with you this evening, it's this. Never undermine your passions. If you love Game of Thrones, if you love Harry Potter, geek out to it, love it, because that tells something about you. And definitely never undermine your own passions. Because I guarantee you, or other people's passions, because I guarantee you that that passion comes with the story. And if you neglect yourself the opportunity to ask that person about it, you're going to miss an important aspect of that person's life. So, to all those people who say that I need to grow up, you know what? Guess what? I did. I'm a 21-year-old bilingual girl who loves Disney. And I will continue making all these trips with my friends. Shout out to everyone who's on the screens right now for making the best Disneyland trips always for me. And finally, thank you, because I am going to rock these Mickey Mouse ears when I get off that stage. Thanks, guys.